Thompson turning and shooting. What a shot by Klay Thompson. For the win. Good! He got it! He got it!
The Golden State Warriors select Klay Thompson from Washington State University.
Hey, in this video, we're going to do an in-depth analysis of Klay Thompson's shooting form. Klay Thompson uses a wide stance, around shoulder width apart. Unlike many shooters who have a narrow stance when shooting off the catch, and a wider stance when shooting off the dribble, Klay almost exclusively uses a wide stance when shooting. One of the major aspects of what makes Klay such a great shooter off the catch is his preparation before the shot. Off the catch, when Klay is moving to his left, before he catches the ball, he usually plants his inside foot. Klay is a right-handed shooter, and because he's moving to his left, his right shoulder is already facing the basket. So as soon as he catches the ball, he can drop his hips into a hop and immediately spring up into his jump shot. When Klay is moving to his right shoulder is back and facing away from the net. Because he's a right-handed shooter, this becomes a more difficult shot. So what he does to counter this is that when he's going right, he often plants his outside foot, which gives him more leverage to turn and bring his right shoulder forward on the hop. Sometimes, off the catch, usually when he's already stationary, he anchors his left leg down and prepares his lower body and hips, so that as soon as he catches the ball, he can step into the shot with his right leg. His upper body preparation is exceptional and unbelievably quick. Many players are not efficient off the catch because they try to position their hands and prepare for the shot after they catch the ball. What makes Klay Thompson so deadly off the catch is that he catches the ball with his hands positioned perfectly, so that as soon as he makes contact with the ball, he can pull the ball directly into his dip and quickly rise up to shoot without any wasted time or extra movements. What's even more impressive about his preparation off the catch is when the pass is not perfectly on target. Off a bad pass, Many players will have to readjust their hand position before shooting or not get the shot off at all. When Klay gets a bad pass to his left side, most times instead of overreaching with both hands and getting off balance, he's able to gain control of the ball with his left hand while preparing his right side and lower body to shoot. Another major reason for his success off the catch is his dip. When we think of the dip, naturally we think about the downward motion, but the upward motion is important as well. Off the catch, Klay brings the ball down to his waist or slightly above his waist. The downward motion allows him to bring his chest forward and flex his hips. The upward motion that follows initiates the upward momentum for the shot. After the dip, there is a specific point that Klay brings the ball to before pushing the ball forward. This is called the set point. At his set point, his arm makes a 90-degree angle with his body, and the ball is at his forehead and closer to the right side of his face. He always reaches his set point before his feet leave the ground, and starts to push the ball forward on his way up. He starts to push the ball forward just slightly after his feet come off the ground. Even though he does have a set point, he still has little to no pause in his shot, and that allows him to maximize the power created by his lower body and the momentum from his dip. Sometimes, when Klay is posting up, or when he thinks his shot might be contested, he will raise his set point by bringing the ball up a bit higher to avoid getting blocked. Earlier, we discussed that because Klay is a right-handed shooter, when he's going left, his right shoulder is already forward and facing the basket, and that makes for an easier shot. For right-handed shooters, it is completely normal and beneficial for the right shoulder and right foot to be slightly in front of the left. The interesting thing about Klay is that although he does have his right shoulder ahead of his left, and his feet are slightly turned, he has his shoulders more squared than many other great players and shooters. Although he turns less than most shooters, there are times when you will commonly see him turn in the air. When his right shoulder and right foot are behind his left side, he will turn in the air just like all other great shooters to get his right shoulder forward. Now, a fascinating part about Klay's alignment is that because he likes to have his shoulders a bit more square to the basket, when his right side is much further in front than his left, he will actually spin all the way back around in the opposite direction to bring his left shoulder forward so that he can get his shoulders a bit more squared up before releasing. Another time you will see him turn in the air is when he is shooting from really deep. When Klay shoots from far beyond the three-point line, he will turn a lot more than he normally does. This is because from far he uses rotational power to add to his range, and that causes his shooting shoulder to come further forward than normal. The reason he is able to maintain his form and time his alignment perfectly even though he's rotating in the air is because he understands how to stabilize and control his body. You'll notice that when turning in the air, Klay will almost always land wider than how he started. He does this because spreading your feet or kicking out one leg while in the air allows shooters to increase their body control and their balance. If you want to learn more about the science of balance and how that can improve your accuracy, you can click this link right here. When Klay shoots, he keeps his wrist relaxed. The bounce that you see in his wrist shows the lack of tension in his shot. On Klay's release, his middle and ring finger curl under, while his index finger stays up. Normally, the finger that goes down the most is the one that players apply the most pressure with. So if the index finger stays up, it usually means that the player dominates with their middle finger. Klay's release does look similar to other middle finger shooters. But there is also an article where Klay's shooting coach talks about teaching Klay to make a V with his index and middle finger. And that makes it seem like he could potentially dominate with both his index and middle finger. And there are some clips that show signs of this. But because Klay normally keeps his fingers so close together on his release, it's tough to know for sure which finger he dominates with. Klay always locks out his elbow on his follow-through so that his arm is completely straight with his elbow right above his head. Klay, along with maybe Durant and Carmelo, has one of the best and most fundamental offhands in the NBA. His offhand is completely off of the ball before he snaps his wrist forward, and it does not interfere with the shot in any way. And lastly, Klay is a ball watcher, which means he follows the flight of the ball in the air as soon as it leaves his hand. Remember, everyone shoots a bit differently based on their own body's mechanics, but there are many common principles that almost all great shooters use. So if you want to learn how to maximize your shooting range, maximize your accuracy, and perfect your shooting form, click this link to get instant access to a free 3-step video series that will take your shooting to the next level.